Hi, my name is Joshua Fear. I'm doing my capstone project on impacting the suburbs, the effective instructing a community center in a suburban setting, specifically that of Sims Township in Cincinnati, and specifically that of North Star Vineyard, which is a small community-based church located actually in Loveland, which is just outside of Sims Township. One of the first things that I'd like to discuss is the benefits that a community center might have for Sims Township specifically. One of the foremost things is the fact that Sims Township doesn't have a community center building at all. This would actually, a church building community center would actually enrich the local community, not just in the fact that it would allow for places for children to stay and things like that, but it also allow for places for people to gather and to build community, not just kind of exist as neighbors nearby. This is actually would save the city government a lot of money if the church were to do it as well, because the church itself would fund it and take care of it, and that would be, while it would create more jobs for the city, it wouldn't actually cost them any money since it was being funded by an external source. One example that I can give you of that actually is in Colorado Springs, of the Colorado Springs Community Center, which was originally owned by Colorado Springs, run by the government, and it was nearing having to file for bankruptcy. But three churches actually took the initiative to take it over and buy it off of the church, or buy it off of the government rather, and they managed to save the city over $1.3 million annually in upkeep and costs for this program. And as a whole, obviously that's going to benefit because Colorado Springs was then able to invest that money in other avenues like upkeep in the area and just building up the community itself. The next thing I'd like to discuss is actually get you a general idea of the church vision for North Star, which is the church that's proposing building the community center. North Star's vision is very simple. It's go, love, live. Go to the missing, which is outreach towards people missing from the community, people missing from God's story. Love the marginalized, which is love those being shunned for being different or just not fitting in. And live as God's kids, which is live to honor God as the Father. One way that we have done this is, if you look at the picture, it's actually a picture of the turkey outreach that we've done. We do it actually every year. And in this particular picture, this is from last year, where we served actually over 300 families, gave them turkey dinners for Thanksgiving, which they would not have been able to afford otherwise. The next thing I'd like to discuss is actually some of the church projects that are planned for community centers they've built. One thing that they've already got in running is something called the Solomon Center. Now, the Solomon Center is a free store. It was originally started by people at North Star in a small 10 by 12 room. It actually it started helping about 20 families, and it's grown to the point where they're helping over 120 families weekly, just with general supplies and support and encouragement and prayer. It's gotten to the point where people are actually waiting outside in the rain and the snow, all temperatures of weather, just waiting to receive this blessing. And so they've actually had to, instead of taking the building they're in now, they're actually going to be starting to go to another church and have it out of that church, at least temporarily, until North Star has managed to build a building of its own, at which point they can actually expand it to what they want. Currently, the goal is to get it up to 200 to 300 people. They'd love to have it to the point where they can help so many people, and there's no real limit. But currently, anything more than 120, and they just can't get through everybody fast enough. Another thing that's also part of that is what's called Solomon's Help. Solomon's Help is a one-time charitable gift that the church will give to help support local people within the low-income housing in the event that they might need some help financially. They will give them money to provide food or rent or whatever it is that they need to survive. In the event that the family should need a second gift, it is available that they can get additional gifts. However, the church does then require them to do community service to help out the community, not specifically through the church, but just something that that's recorded that shows that they're actually trying to get out there and help the community, which is one way that North Star ensures that not only are we building into the community, but also that the church, the people that the church helps are also additionally building the community and using what we are giving out to help build up themselves and the people around them. Another example of that actually is the Solomon Program. Now, the Solomon Program is an intensive study program meant they take 6 to 8 women in from the low-income housing or just women that are in need of some assistance. It's a 6-month-long program. What they do is they do a lot of studying. They build up these women, help them understand that they're women of value and that they're empowered to do good things and great things, and that, you know, a lot of these women have been beaten or battered, lived rough lives, and it helps them to understand that this is something that's happened to them, but it doesn't mean that they're not worth. But in addition to that, it also helps them build marketable skills, because part of the Solomon Program is developing skills that allow them to obtain jobs, to improve the jobs they have, to be able to improve their current lifestyle, and in the long term get out of the low-income housing and build up with their lifestyles and become, you know, more important parts of society, more integral parts of society, I should say. So one of the great things about that, though, too, is the end of the program, they're actually required to create a project, and it's not just create a project and do it. They actually have to enact this project and have it start running. And these women have done projects for all kinds of things. They've actually done everything from like giving makeup to beaten and battered women to make them feel better, to understand that they're loved and that they're beautiful, even though they may have been told otherwise or treated otherwise, to, you know, just helping children out and helping, you know, tutoring children and then helping them learn more and if they're having trouble in school. All of these programs, I'm happy to actually announce, you know, they've been doing this for about 7 years, and in those 7 years, most of these projects are still ongoing, and a lot of them are still working and still building, which is fantastic given the fact that these women, you know, just after 6 months have created these things that have been long-standing and building towards the community. One of the great things, too, actually, at the end of it, when they graduate, they're given a plaque. This plaque commemorates not just the effort and all of their value, and helps them understand that they've done something of value and gives them something to remember, but it also kind of comes with a nice bonus. It actually comes with a $3,000 check. This $3,000 check they're allowed to use for home, they're allowed to use it for vehicles or transportation, or they're allowed to use it for education, all just for the betterment of their lives and their lifestyle, so that they can hopefully build themselves up and understand that not only are they of value, but they can also kind of work their way up out of the low-income housing. Now, the next thing I need to discuss is actually some of the requirements that come along with this community center. Already, the church has purchased 8.4 acres of land. This 8.4 acres of land is unfortunately largely wetland, but it is in the Sims Township area, in a largely residential area. On this land, they're struggling with the need to build a community center, but also to retain some of the wetland, because they don't want to destroy the natural order of things. So North Star is having to develop a lot of creative ways to kind of make sure that the wetland stays intact largely. And in that vein, they're actually having to deal with a lot of zoning rules and things like that. And these things are causing some of the friction that is slowing down the process of actually being able to build this community center that would allow for the expansion and the growth of these projects that they're already started, and some other ones that they wish to do that they can't do out of the high school that they're currently housed in. The Sims Zoning Commission actually would have to approve anything. One additional hindrance actually is that the local residents, a lot of them believe that they would be better suited to have more houses built on that land as opposed to a community center, which is something that the church is having to try to help people understand, that while financially the immediate gain would be better for housing development, the long-term gain of decreased criminal activity which happens around church buildings, the long-term gain of the increased education and the building up of the locals and the creating of that community, that allowing a location where people can get together and kind of, build relationships instead of just being neighbors. is long-going and long-standing, and will keep people building up and keep the community stronger and help also benefit some of the local economy. Now, what I'd like to next discuss is some of the project outcomes of building this community center. Before I do that, though, I would like to point out we discussed some of the things that North Star does as far as helping people out, and this is actually a description. This is actually one of the other outreaches that they do. It's Saturday morning outreaches, which help a lot of people out in the neighborhood. Now, one of the things that the project they're trying to get is to develop adults in the community. Will help result in better employment skills and better employability, which would help increase, annual household income, which would boost the local economy, decrease unemployment rate, and decrease the use of the government assistance programs that are specifically used in the government housing, which in the long run would help everything out. So hopefully I've been able to help you understand a lot of how this community center would benefit the government, and thank you for your time.